Caddx just accelerated this hobby into the stratosphere with the new Caddx Vista, which is a tiny little 1200 milliwatt of VTX that's pumping out DJI FPV digital tech in here. We've put it in the Diatone 349, which was one of the fastest drones available commercially on the planet. And what I'm going to say we've got right here is arguably the most technologically advanced drone on the planet in terms of performance, flight performance, and video transmissions. I would doubt right now anything on Earth could probably beat this. So stay tuned because we're going to learn all about the Caddx Vista, how it goes together, and why you are definitely going to want it. G'day, Stu from UAVfutures here, and today, well, strap yourself in. You need to be excited for this video. If you are even remotely interested in digital FPV, where the future of our hobby is going, you need to see this. What we're talking about, it is very exciting times. We have this thing right here. This tiny little piece of kit that I am holding up is the new Caddx Vista. Now this bad boy is a 1200 milliwatt capable digital DJI transmitter that DJI has teamed up with Caddx, who's been making some stuff for FPV for a long time. And now, instead of having to put this huge clunky receiver, VTX, all that sort of stuff inside our drones, we can think about our micros, our smaller crafts, our 3 inches. This is all you've got to put in, and then you're going to be off to the races, flying around some gorgeous DJI HD digital. It's fully compatible with your goggles, all that sort of stuff. So what we're going to do in this video, we're going to break it down. I'm going to show, well, I'm not going to actually break it down. I'm going to break down the text and the specs because I'm not going to be opening it up. But yeah, we're going to be sort of talking about the text and the specs, looking at it on the bench, how it goes together, and then we're going to stack it up, compare it to this one because there is some things it does differently. And then the big one, we're going to put it in a frame. We're going to go out, we're going to fly around, and I want to put it in something like a Diatone 349 and show you the differences between, you know, you might only be looking at adding 10 grams to your drone, and then it is fully digital now with something in such a small form factor. So let's do it, jump right in and kick it off with a bit of an overview. Then we're going out to the field and we're just ripping it, about to have fun. And I've got to say too, seems like DJI does kind of be listening. I'll be the first to admit, I'm not really a big fan of one company who just seems to do their own thing and control everything. But at the moment, it does seem like they're listening. When the community says, oh, nah, DJI, you've got too much latency in your analog, they say, oh, okay, well, let's reduce the latency in an update. Done, fixed. Oh, no, I don't want to use that digital unit. It's too big, all that sort of stuff. It's not going to fit in my micro. Oh, okay, well, how about a smaller unit? So I got to say, even though they're one company controlling an awful lot, at least they seem to be making the products that we want. So let's do it. Anyway, enough rambling. Let's have a look at the Caddx Vista and why, if you're remotely interested in digital, flying around with smaller quads, you are going to absolutely lose your mind. So on the bench, first things first, look at the size difference between the two. I'll see if I can get a bit of a close-up in the roof cam, and this one, I've lost one of the antennas on the original unit, so thanks very much, Tony, when you crashed it, and lost one of my antennas, but you can see side by side, there is a massive difference. This one is more made for your 5 inches, all that sort of stuff, any of the bigger crafts. The Caddx Vista, it is absolutely tiny. No longer do we have to have 3 inches like this, where this was about as small as you can get it. You can see it is really kind of crammed in there. That's I think that's like the DC3 or something. Nowadays, this seems to be where it's all going to be at. Now, there's a couple, let's stick them on the scales actually, first things first. And why we're tearing this off, one big difference though, this one records on board your sort of HD flights when you're flying around. This one does not. So think of it just kind of like most 3 inches out there, and for some people that might be a deal breaker, but think about your 3 inches. Most of the time, you're not recording anyway HD, even with your analog stuff, you're not putting a GoPro on there. Same goes for this. Just now, our 3 inches are going to be capable of our normal DJI transmission. So that's pretty exciting. Let's stick it on the scales, tear it off the original unit, and you got to remember too, I'll put some stats on screen because I am missing an antenna. So you're going to have to add a few extra grams right here. The original unit with a missing antenna is about 47 grams. So let's say maybe 52 grams or something like that. And the Caddx Vista is 31 grams, so significantly lighter, but probably the most important part, a smaller form factor. A couple of grams here or there aren't going to make too much of a difference, but having a small form factor, 20 by 20, is absolutely going to make a difference. And what's crazy too, it looks like they've got some 16 by 16 mounting holes here, so if you've got some really, really small micros, maybe even, dare I say, something like one of the Armaton kind of toothpicks or something, you could put this tiny little bad boy inside there and you are going to be having some digital HD in the smallest quads we have ever seen. So I can't wait for the future to see the sort of quads that are going to be coming out with this. It's going to be very, very popular. Of course, it's got USB-C on the side. It doesn't actually have a little pin-out cable that you can plug in. You've got to actually directly solder some of the stuff up right here, and also you get a nice little Rush left-hand polarized antenna right here, and then you've simply got some little solder ports on the back. So you've got your S-bus, your ground, TX, RX, ground, and voltage. Again, that's the order. They're a little bit hard to see. You've got some bigger pads underneath if you need a little bit more room to solder it up, but you might need a little bit of a steady hand when it comes to soldering these things on. And then they're exactly the same pin out when it goes to this bad boy. So if you just want to look at the manual, it's the same way that these come out. So you can simply wire it up. You're going to be off to the races having fun. Now, the camera is a tiny little bit different. The way it's got like a bit of a ribbon cable at the back. You can take the end off, all that sort of stuff, but I'm going to be trying to putting it in a really, really small drone. I think the Diatone 349. We're going to rip it around, have some fun, and I got to say, I am excited. I am excited. And a big one too, when it comes to updating this, I want to give this warning out there to people. There is like a special instructions I got for this review unit. It's pretty much like check the heat. There's so many heat steps in there because it is so small. It's got like a big heat sink on the top, big heat sink on the bottom. It is going to be pumping out the juice, and especially if you crank it to 1200 milliwatts, well, you'll be wanting to definitely have some ventilation in the air because you need to try to keep this thing cool. When it's in the air flying around, I don't think too many people are going to be having any problems whatsoever. So what we should do now, the fun stuff. We're going to cut back. I'm going to put it inside a drone. I'm going to take a before shot of how much it weighed when it was on analog. Then I'll show you a shot after it when it's got this fully installed. And then we're going to go out in the field, have some fun, fly it around, and we'll see just how crazy it is. Our digital now is coming in such a small form factor. So let's do it. Go have some fun and build up a drone with it in it in 3, 2, 1. Thanks, editing. Radio, thanks very much, editing, and let me say, boy, do we have a treat. It is very rare that when I finish a build that my mind kind of goes, Jesus, that's gorgeous. And that's what just happened because we put the Vista in the Diatone 349. I knew it would be a tight fit, but that's why I chose it, because I wanted it to show off the good capabilities of just how small this thing is. The Diatone 349 is one of Diatone's best drones they've ever made. It is the fastest, one of the fastest we have ever seen. I think it was 186 kilometers per hour or like 115, 16 miles per hour. This thing is a rocket. It is tiny. Look at it on the bench. It looks gorgeous. Can you believe this little drone is full HD ready? I'm going to put a picture on the screen too, because I think when it's analog form, it was 152, 153 grams. Check this out. We're going to tear this off. And the whole drone now with the DJI system in it, 1200 milliwatts, I should say, is 163 grams. So this drone right here, it is next gen tech, and it is also super light and extremely fast. And I'm going to say this is, dare I say right now, in the hobby space, probably in existence, the most capable, impressive drone there is. Just right now, before someone else starts to build some crazy ones, but this is probably the fastest, most high-def drone on the planet, speaking commercially anyway for us hobbyists. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Let's go have some fun out in the field, rip it around, and we'll just find out. How does the new Caddx Vista go? Because if it doesn't go well, then this is all for nothing, but I'm pretty excited. Let's go rip it around, have some fun, and show you the footage. So let's do it in 3, 2, 1. Radio, first things first, check out the weather. It absolutely sucks in Australia at the moment. It's either really hot, on fire, and also extremely windy. But what we do, let's check it out with the Caddx Vista inside. This is the Diatone 349 or 369. There's two different versions. One takes a 4S, one takes a 6S. I'm sure you guys can figure that out. That's not the exciting part. The exciting part is we have a little 3-inch drone now that is an absolute screamer, and it's flying around with the digital DJI inside. Caddx has really stepped up their game and thought about what we want, and I gotta say, the performance was next level. It didn't feel any different to the more expensive and larger counterpart of the traditional air unit flying around. So the Caddx, Vista, or the DJI Lite, or whatever you want to call it, even though it doesn't have HD onboard recording, I could not give two hoots, because now you can fly around your favorite drone. It doesn't matter about the size of them. The weight is super light. You don't get any extra latency. You don't get any extra problems I couldn't find, and it can pump out 1200 milliwatts if you want. In my first few testings, I didn't get any range issues. It felt identical. I couldn't tell the difference to flying around with my normal DJI one, my normal air unit. So I'm very, very happy to say they've taken everything from their bigger version,
put it in here, and there doesn't really seem to be any compromises. Besides, you can't do onboard HD video, and I'm sure more than enough people are going to be like, yep, fine, that doesn't really bother me too much. Almost stacked my drone there as well. But I'd love to know, what do you guys think? Put your comments down below. Is this going to be the step that makes you switch over to digital? How do you feel at first your analog? Was this what was holding you back? What do you think about kind of, I guess, I hate to say it, DJI is listening a little bit to us FPV pilots when it comes to make it smaller, fix up the latency, all that sort of stuff. And I don't know if this is where our future is heading, and DJI seems to be doing it right in this regard anyway. I'm not sure regarding legislation or any of that sort of part. All I'm talking about in this one is the Caddx Vista. Caddx seems to be doing some cool stuff for FPV, and now I'm very, very happy that people like Cal, who traditionally prefer their 3 inches, well, look, here we go. We're ripping around with a 3 inch, you know, saving some weight, just having an awesome time with this HD def, and just this is what for me FPV is all about. This was kind of the last hurdle for me where I thought, you know, it'd be always better if they were smaller, and here it is with almost zero compromise. Anyway, I'm going to put the links down below. They are still on pre-order. I don't know when they ship or anything like that, so I'd say jump in quick if you are interested, because I'm sure it's going to be very, very popular. But what we should do now, let's jump back to the studio and then wrap up the video and just kind of have some fun and talk about the future of our hobby.
Rightio, there it is. There's my review on my first impressions of the Caddx Vista, and I've got to say, I'm excited. I've just got home from flying it, and I am still pumped and amped of what this means for our hobby. And the big one too, I didn't even realize that this is actually cheaper than the original air unit, so I don't know who's going to be buying these versus the Vista, because you can put this in so many crafts, and being able to stick it in this like a little 3 inch, rip it around, it really is a game changer for our hobby. I guarantee you're going to see a lot of drones coming out in the future that are utilizing this, putting it in small little form factors and diatone. I'm telling you, in the 349, it is an absolute dream. So look, I'm going to link everything down below, the original air units, the 349. I'm going to put a couple of different links for the Vista as well if you want to go check that out. They're all on pre-order at the moment, but my advice would be, look, get in quick, because this is going to be a very popular product. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be wanting to get this to upgrade their fleet, and it might even convert some people over to digital. It is not perfect. Well, I should say it is not everything that this one is, because it doesn't have 2 antennas and it doesn't do any HD recording on board as well. So that's something to take note of. It is purely just for those pilots who want to cram in some HD digital in a tiny little stack, rip around, and it's still more than capable of 1200 milliwatts. Very, very cool stuff. So I got to say, hats off to the guys over at Caddx, because the Caddx Vista for me is super exciting for what that means. That means now people like Calvin, who traditionally love to fly around these little smaller craft, and that's why they didn't want to switch over to digital. This is out. I think a lot of people are going to be looking at this and thinking, you know what, there's so many craft we could put that in. And if you've got a 349, just you're going to love it. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Drop your comments down below. What do you think this means for a hobby? Is this the tipping point for you that means, yes, they're smaller? DJI seems to be listening with updating their analog latency, making the unit smaller. So I don't know, that's kind of cool. But I'd love to know, what do you guys think? Subscribe for more FPV related content, and as always, happy flying.